We've been the trusted experts since 1960 because nobody knows tires better than we do. And with over 90 tire brands, we have an abundance of options in stock for your vehicle. Buy and drive today at DiscountTire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
With Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, you'll turn every meeting, every mile, and every meal into momentum. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
This episode of Phillies Therapy was executive produced by Adam D., Andrew C., Andrew G., Joe M., Mary R., and Owen S. Thank you all for your support. To learn more about how you can support Phillies Therapy, be an executive producer, or just join our community over on Discord, go to patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. All right, on to the show. Hello and welcome to the start of another week in March. The march toward opening day continues in earnest. The World Baseball Classic nears its end, and so do the spring storylines for some of the more talked about aspects of this 2026 Phillies team. Welcome to Phillies Therapy. My name is Paul Boyer. We're going to talk today about spring storylines. If you've been listening to this show for a while, you've probably come to expect something like this, where around the time spring starts to wrap up, or you can see opening day on the horizon, we are less than 2 weeks away from opening day now, we start to take stock of what happened during the spring. What we were looking out for, guys we may have been interested in. Maybe all of that got blown up. Maybe somebody else came out of nowhere and surprised us. And we have to take a second to think, oh, that's interesting. Do we buy or sell what we're seeing here? Now, unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of new emergence this spring. It's been kind of in a good way, a boring spring. There hasn't been a whole lot of new ground to tread. But we're going to try, because there have been some things that have emerged that at least made us wonder. So we're going to talk through. We've got a few storylines that we have curated. We're going to pick them out. We're going to let you know whether we buy or sell what we've been seeing out at Baycare and beyond down in Florida this spring. And the we, of course, implies there is a second to help me do this. You know who he is. He's the Phillies beat writer for The Athletic. He's getting ready to head back on down to Florida just in time to get out of this nasty weather hitting the Northeast. I'm talking about the weather all the time on this show anymore. He is Matt Gelb. Matt, hello. Welcome in. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm great. I want to spend 45 minutes talking about the fight for the 26th man on the roster.
Brian De La Cruz, Dylan Moore, Garrett Stubbs, the left fielder. Choose your fighter.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I going into spring, we talked about it, and I was trying to remember, what were the big storylines of spring 2025? And it's funny because I remember, the biggest roster decision they had was the last one, which was, Kodi Clemens or Buddy Kennedy. It was it was because Weston Wilson had gotten hurt in spring training. And so, they picked Clemens. He had 10 at bats and then got traded to Detroit, where he had a fine season as an extra guy. Buddy Kennedy won a ring with the Dodgers. Congrats to him. But yeah, it just feels, I know a lot of attention has been on the WBC. Philly spring training has been, rather anticlimactic. And I think that they're going to, if that is the case, a week from today, when the Phillies do break camp, they play their last Grateful League game, I think they will have considered it a great success. When you think about it, Paul, I mean, so far they have avoided, any significant injury, really any injuries of note. I know Aiden Miller's status is somewhat of a question, but sounds like, he could be playing in AAA games, not too long after the season starts, but we'll see. And then Orion Kerkering is going to get into a game Tuesday. We'll see if he's on the roster to start. I'm skeptical. It's definitely taken a lot longer than I thought it would be. It seems like they've more slowly brought him on, but also I think that they were trying to lessen his workload in the spring anyway, because he did pitch a lot last year, warmed up a lot. And I think if this is how we feel about the spring, I mean, I know that there's not as much excitement as you would want there to be, but it was a weird spring. We've talked about it, and I think the fact that they have avoided major drama, injury wise, is a pretty significant development, especially when you look at some other camps across the sport.
Yeah, it's huge. And I know there are folks out there who would be like, no, don't talk about it. Don't say it. You remember when Rhys Hoskins got hurt just days before camp ended? It doesn't matter if we talk about it. Jinxes aren't real. What we're going to do instead here now, in continuing with this theme and thinking about how everybody is intact and how everything is pretty much as we expected, we can assume a few things here. And a lot of them are, that this team is going to look a lot like what we expected it to look like at the start of spring training. That is a success as far as I'm concerned, because like you mentioned, everybody's mostly intact, and that's great. There are a couple things to dig into though. Mostly it's a status check on where we were at the start of spring, looking out for some of these things. And now that we've had a few chances to see all of these guys really appear in some form or fashion, we look at their numbers in these small samples and try and figure out how they've looked in addition to that, and whether we're buying or selling certain aspects of this. And we're just going to run down a quick list of 5. We've picked out 5 storylines that we think are important or notable. You all out there may have an additional one here or there, I'm sure. We're going to run these down. We're going to do a quick buy or sell on what we think. And you guys can let us know, as you always do, what you think about our opinions. We're going to start at the top of our list. And in this case, number 1 on the list happens to be the new bullpen additions. We're talking about guys like Jonathan Bolin. We're talking about guys like Kyle Backus, Zach Pop. The ones who are imported and trying to make the roster at the back of the bullpen. There have been mixed results. If you look at the stat lines, things are maybe not super impressive for some of these guys. Bolin in particular has let up a couple runs in his 4 1/3 innings. Backus, on the converse, has struck out 6 to only 1 walk in his 5 innings in 5 appearances. He's looked very good. Matt, I think what we want to do now is we want to buy or sell whether we think the new bullpen additions, again, assuming the likes of, Bolin's going to make the team, Backus looks like he's going to make the team, Zach Pop probably has a leg up on that final spot as we sit here right now, even though he's let up a few runs. He's looked pretty good. I think what we want to do is we want to buy or sell these new additions being notably better than last year's bullpen. What do you think about the state of the bullpen and the guys who are competing for these last spots as we come toward the end of spring?
I mean, I think it's a buy. I mean, because you didn't mention Brad Keller. I know he's not competing for a job, but
That's
he
true.
is one of their additions, and he hasn't had a great WBC. I don't think it's the worst thing for him to get into some of those games in some tight spots early on. I don't know. I'm buying. Like, I think we've been talking a lot about how they've added more depth. There's just more guys, and I think that I agree with that. I'm not sure like what the best combination of these guys is going to look at, and obviously the opening combination will change, and will change probably quite often. Bolin, I think I don't know. I've heard a lot of mixed things from rival valuers who've watched in the spring. You can see the stuff is there. You understand it. I like looking, Paul. I mean, like, you rattled off some stat lines. Like, spring is tough, right? I mean, like, we don't really know what we're seeing. I like, quality of contact is important to me. And that plays in, exhibition games and regular season games. Like, if you're inducing softer contact, generally it's a good thing. Maybe you're giving up some soft hits and it doesn't look good on the traditional stat line, but, ultimately, the more soft contact you allow, the better you'll probably be. And I look at some of their additions, like, Zach McCambly, the Rule 5 edition. I don't think he'll make the team. I think they're going to have to send him back. And he's allowed, an average 95.6 exit velocity, which is the hardest among anyone who's really pitched a decent amount of innings. Yonel Curé is also up there. He's even worse. He got sent out already. He was one of the bullpen additions. He was not good this spring. Mm-hmm. So I think you're taking out Curé and McCambly, 2 guys that we were talking about in the offseason as additions. And I think Curé is going to start in AAA. McCambly is probably going back to the Marlins organization. So you take those 2 out. Okay, that's 2 guys now already you're not so sure about. Max Lazar's got a bit of an oblique thing. He will start the year on the injured list, it sounds like. And then you're looking at Bolin. Backus has been a guy, like you said, Paul, who I think is really impressed, and I think he'll have the first crack at a job. He's got minor league options, so if it doesn't go great, in April or whatever, they can send him out and bring somebody else in. There's some guys who've, stood out. I mean, I think Zach Pop's going to be on the team to start. I think he's had a good spring. His exit velo is way, way down for the spring. I mean, he has not allowed hard contact at all. 85.5 average exit velo this spring
great.
for Pop.
It's really good.
Now, Pop's also like, he hasn't faced the best hitters either. And so, like, I'm going to guess in this last week here, they're going to get some of these bullpen guys, the candidates, into games earlier or find a way to get them facing, major league caliber hitters. That's the issue with spring is like some of these relievers who are competing for jobs, they come into the game later in the game and they're facing all the replacements already. The other teams, double A players or even high A players who have entered as replacements. So it makes the evaluation process a little difficult here. Bolin's been disappointing, I think. He's allowed some hard contact. He has not thrown as many strikes as he should. I think he remains a work in progress for them. And I think right now he's firmly a middle reliever, like a multi-inning middle reliever, which is fine. That just means there's going to be a little more onus probably on Kerkering early in the season, provided he's on the roster to start. Yeah, I don't know. I think for now, I guess I'm selling that it's going to be the bat, like the softer part of the bullpen is going to be better. I think it will be because it's hard to be worse than they were at least to start last year, because we're talking about upgrades from Jose Ruiz and Carlos Hernandez. So Joe Ross, like I think they've made upgrades from those, like, we're talking about those three guys who were in the opening day bullpen and kind of in these roles, right? The middle guys.
Yeah.
I think they've made upgrades there. I don't think it's been as good maybe this spring so far as we thought it could be.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. And it is interesting to me. I even just said earlier this week over in our Discord that I keep forgetting the Brad Keller signing happened. And I just did it again.
Well, it's because, he hasn't been with the team and he's I
don't know if it means anything. It's just weird that it keeps happening in my brain. But yes, absolutely. Brad Keller is here on a 2-year deal. He's one of the new additions. I am a little disappointed in, not seeing a lot of quick progress out of Bolin. That's fine though. If he's a multi-inning middle reliever, that's okay. I think it's a slight upgrade, so I'll buy it. I am not super confident in this unit really holding fast if they lose, Duran or Alvarado for a considerable amount of time, because Alvarado looks like he's back right now. He's
had a good spring.
Yeah. The cutter looks great, and I think that's one of the big things.
And he's not throwing as hard as he was last spring, and that's okay. I mean, like, he's been sitting 98. He was sitting 100 last spring, and we all know what happened.
Sure.
He's been sitting 98 and getting it up to 100 if he has to.
Yeah, I've really liked the way he's looked. I'll buy that it's a little bit better. I feel good about it coming into the year. But like so much else on this roster, so many other areas, it doesn't seem like it's really shored up. They have options to bring guys up and have a little bit of churn, which is nice for when they'll need a fresh arm or two. But in terms of quality, it's slightly ahead for me right now. We'll see how things go.
The one guy I want to shout out, and I did not mention him. And I think he's going to pitch for the Phillies this year. And even as he's gone to the backfields, I keep hearing, really, really good things. And that's Alex McFarland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He threw strikes. He allowed soft contact, weak contact. He showed some really good poise, I think. It was not perfect. I believe that if he continues on this path of what we saw this spring, he will pitch for the Phillies this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got major league stuff. Definitely a little bit of a work in progress with some of the command. Maybe needs a third pitch, but I really like what I saw in him. I agree. Thanks for bringing him up. As for the second item on our list in our storyline buy or sell, we're looking at a guy who's starting to flash a little bit of pop with the bat, not Zach Pop. That's Alec Bohm striking the ball. He's got 2 doubles and 3 homers in his 27 at-bats plus a walk. He's slugging .741 in his appearances this spring. He looks like a guy who wants to come out of the gate hot in his platform here. Matt, this is a guy we've been talking about for literal years, trying to figure out where the extra base hit pop can be. And he's had some good doubles, but the home runs have never really materialized. I guess what we're thinking now, and not to get too far ahead of our skis here, is are we buying or selling that Alec Bohm has possibly unlocked a little something extra in the power department that could maybe turn into an, 20 homer season? Not to put a firm number on it. Are we buying or selling that Alec Bohm is going to strike the ball a little bit better this year?
I think he's going to have a better year. I don't know if I'm buying it based off spring. I wanted to go over the pitchers who he's hit those extra base hits off of this spring.
That should be fair.
And I did.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I think only one of them, at least one of them, maybe 2 of them will start the year in the major leagues.
Okay.
The home runs were off of Cade Povich, CJ Van Eck, and Tyler Wells. Wells will open as the Orioles' long guy, I think. Povich already got sent out, and I don't know who CJ Van Eck is. I'm really sorry. The doubles were against TJ Sikkema, and Braxton Ashcraft, who is a big league pitcher.
Yeah.
He's taken some. I'm looking at some of the harder hit balls. Some of them are against real pitchers. Will Warren, he had a hard hit out against. He had hit a line out against Max Scherzer. But this is how I'm always, you see the numbers and you're always like, okay, well, what, who is it against? Is it real? I'll say this, I think it's going to be interesting to watch because Bohm, I believe one of his priorities for this year was, 1, adding a little bit of strength in the offseason, which I think he did. He does look a little bigger. But 2, maintaining it during the season because he has not been the best at being able to maintain that strength, because when the season starts in the past, it would be more about survival for him in previous years. There wasn't as much strength. It was more strength preservation than strength gains during the season.
Okay.
And each guy is different. Some guys put on the bulk at the beginning of the year to try to get through 6 months and don't really look to add, they don't want to overdo it during the season, etc. I think there will be a little more focus on trying to not just add it and, try to hang on for dear life in the season, but try to at least maintain or even keep adding during the season. And if that leads to a little more power, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if I'm buying it off of the spring performances, but I do think it's interesting that he's pulling the ball in the air a little more. He is not going to be that guy. He's not going to be a guy who is fully selling out for pull side power. I do think, though, that smartly, there are some pitches where he should be recognizing that this is a pitch I should be pulling in the air.
Yeah.
Are you buying? I guess I'm selling there, I guess.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have, I think he's going to have better power numbers. I don't know that he's necessarily unlocked something new yet. I'm not sold there.
What is it about the midseason strength preservation that's stood out? Is it just a training regimen thing that they've had to adjust, in the locker room?
Well, it's guy by guy. I mean, different guys have different priorities during the season, and it's not, they have individualized plans. This is not like a catch-all thing. And I think for a guy like Bohm, we've seen it. I mean, remember April and into May of 2024. I mean, he had added strength in the offseason, and we just saw better gap-to-gap power. We saw him pulling more balls in the air for the first 6 weeks of that season. And I think over time, it's been harder for him as a professional player during the grind of a major league season to maintain that strength. And so I think there's been some changes maybe in how, or at least some ideas now about, prioritizing that.
That's pure automotive joy. I'm Peter, the owner of Muscle Car Jr. It started as a hobby, then I started posting about it. Before I knew it, I built a business restoring muscle cars on Facebook Marketplace and a community of car lovers on Instagram. Today, new customers send me WhatsApp messages from all over. Not bad for a hobby.
Learn how Meta helps over 35 million American businesses like Peter's grow at meta.com/community.
Life's busy. Don't let banking slow you down. Whether you're paying bills, setting savings goals, or just splitting the check, Atlantic Union Bank makes managing your money easier. With helpful people and user-friendly tools, we make sure banking with us fits you. Call, visit us online, or drop into an Atlantic Union Bank branch today. Atlantic Union Bank. Any way you bank.
We've been the trusted experts since 1960 because nobody knows tires better than we do. And with over 90 tire brands, we have an abundance of options in stock for your vehicle. Buy and drive today at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
With Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, you'll turn every meeting, every mile, and every meal into momentum. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Okay, that makes sense. I think for my part, I will also sell this. I like to see it. I like to see him hitting the ball with authority, and he's hit some rockets and ropes, and that's always great to see. The context that you mentioned of the pitchers, those are definitely, quad A or slightly better arms, right? Like I have seen, or I've seen all of those names, I think maybe except for Van Eyck, in the major leagues at some point. So they're like up and down at worst, and that's fine. But it's not the most, reinforcing aspect of things. And I think we've always kind of seen Bohm have a stretch where he's peppering the wall with line drives. Like he'll do it. He'll have it this year. He'll have a run where he does this. It's just a matter of how long that run's going to be. And I don't know if I've seen a really different guy this spring. I've just seen the good version of Bohm, not necessarily a different good version of Bohm. That's fine. I'll take that. I want the third baseman to be good this year, but I just think it's mostly the same guy. He's just happening to, put together a good spring. And that's a nice way to start the year, but I don't know how confident I am that he's going to come out and start, approaching 500 slug territory, much less, we'll think about like 440 or 450 as a goal before getting a little bit too high with things. It's fine. I think he'll be fine. And I would like for him to have a better year than last year overall. But in terms of big power, no, I don't quite see that either. Third up on our list, we go over to the pitching side of things. And it's one of the pieces of good news in this camp. Really, because there haven't been too many injuries. We noted, Orion Kirkring coming back from dealing with hamstring strain. We've noted Aiden Miller's back issues, and those are relatively minor things, thankfully. The big guy, of course, Zack Wheeler, is making his way back from thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, and he's now facing live hitters in side sessions, but he's facing hitters. He's throwing bullpens, basically.
I hope they're live.
Yeah, well, me too. He is getting there. He's not going to be on the opening day roster. He's not going to debut by the middle of April. But man, it sure seems like he's possibly trending toward a late April appearance, which for me, is earlier than I was expecting to see him. I know the timeline has continued to gently shift earlier and earlier in the season as his progress has continued and the reports have come in and the optimism has increased from people within the organization who are saying like, we started out probably sometime in the middle of the summer, then we've increased to, okay, it's probably before June, and now we're thinking possibly before the end of April. Matt, I think you would have a really good feel for this based on who you've talked to and how you've been monitoring Wheeler's progress. Are we buying or selling Zack Wheeler both as an earlier returnee than June still, but also that all of this progress means that he is close to being the Zack Wheeler that we've all come to know and see and expect, because that guy would surely be a boost for this rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly buying a return sometime in April. And I think into off season, I hinted this, I said it, I don't know how explicitly I said it, but I thought he was going to be closer to April 1st than June 1st.
You said that exactly, okay. Yes.
And I was thinking more like late April, somewhere around May 1st.
Okay.
He might even be ahead of that, honestly. Like, and I read, and I appreciate the reports from how the guys from camp, Todd Zlecki, Jim Salisbury, Lachlan March, and they talked to Wheeler after his live BP session the other day, and I think he's saying and looking and feeling the things that he's supposed to feel like after the first live BP. So think about it. The first live BP for a guy like him is typically the first or second week of camp, at the end of the first week of camp. So we're talking about mid-February, maybe third week of February.
Mm-hmm.
He said he thinks he was about 93. I think the big question about Wheeler, Paul, we know that he has exceptional feel for the secondary offerings.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that has and will continue to age well. I think his feel for manipulating the ball, his feel for where to target and where to start and how to sequence, especially while working with Real Muto, certain pitches, is something that can continue to age well. The question is, does he have, the Wheeler fastball with carry and ride that he had before? Even if we're not talking about a fastball that is going to bump 98. But I mean, for him to be at 93, again, we're thinking about, again, mid-ish, late February. I think that's a pretty good sign. I think.
Yeah.
Like that number jumped out. I was like, oh wow. Like I actually thought that was like a good number. And I know while people are going to see that, be like, oh my God, he's only throwing 93. It's like, well, one, it was a live BP, his first one. And two, like, again, I think they've really asked him to not push it. And by all accounts, Zack Wheeler was trying to push it in the offseason. Like he wanted to pitch on opening day.
Yeah.
Like I've heard numerous people say that he was telling people that, that he felt like that they were being too cautious with him. And
I love that. It's so good.
I think the way he's feeling, the way he's encouraged, I'm buying, an April return. I'm buying that it could be, third week of April, second week of April, probably like somewhere in mid-April to mid to late April. Again, we don't know what it's going to look like though. And I think the fastball is the biggest question to me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, love to hear all of that, every bit of it. Like this is one of the bits of really good news coming out of this camp for a guy who's on the injured list or going to start the year on the injured
100%.
list.
I mean, like we went into spring and said, what was the biggest storyline? And while Crawford and Painter were up there, Zack Wheeler's progress was the biggest storyline.
Yeah. And to hear all of this is tremendous. And yes, I agree. I hear 93 for a first session in mid-March. And I think, yes, good. Thumbs up. I am also going to buy all of that. I love to hear that he is targeting a return in April. This is giving me flashbacks to when, Bryce Harper made his way, way earlier than expected return from Tommy John. Hearing that he wants to be and could probably be back in April, the way things are currently going. I'm also going to buy that the return is successful. I am fully expecting a percentage shave off this stuff, age plus a significant injury and time off and building back up. That's going to be hard to shake. And maybe it manifests in the fastball command a little bit. Maybe he does only sit 94 or touch 95 for a little while. That's all fine. I agree with you that the feel for the secondary stuff is great. The fact that he was able to quickly add and master a splitter that he has, his particular splitter, is going to be huge if he has to play off of slightly diminished fastball velocity to go off of, these left-handed hitters to keep them off balance. If he maintains that feel for the secondary stuff and can bite in on the hands, maybe he'll have to dance around the edges of the zone a little bit more, won't quite be able to rear back quite as much. I'm not talking about a complete reinvention of style here. This sounds like a guy who is going to resemble the Zack Wheeler we know. So I'm buying it. I'm feeling good. I am looking forward to his return. I am excited about his return. And I think that does great things for raising the floor and potentially raising the ceiling of what the Phillies can do this year if you replace X number of, Taijuan Walker starts with Zack Wheeler starts, even current state Zack Wheeler. That's a big deal. So I'm buying it. I'm feeling good. This is one of the things from this camp that has continued to yield good news and good updates. And I'm very grateful for that. because it certainly could have gone a different way with an injury as relatively mysterious and dangerous as this can be. Everything has gone well, and I'll keep that. I'll treasure that and feel good about looking forward to seeing Zack Wheeler at some point in April, which is fantastic.
If I set the line for starts by Zack Wheeler this season at 25.5, where's most of the action coming in? Over or under?
To say nothing of performance, I'll say over. I think he does a really good job of keeping himself in season shape and looks good, through the year. If he's ready to make his debut and he feels like he is in season shape to start, yeah, I'll take the over on 25.5. I think he only misses
right.
4 starts.
Okay.
What about you? Would you come just under?
I'd probably come just under.
Okay.
25 starts.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good line. I think that's about right. Continuing on the pitching side of things, fourth up on our list, he was mentioned just a minute ago. He is going to occupy one of those rotation spots and will continue to occupy one of those rotation spots as Zack Wheeler returns when he does. It's Andrew Painter. That's right. It's the weekly Andrew Painter session. We've had a chance to get a couple of looks at Painter in spring in some of these games. He's looked pretty good. He's made 3 starts, which is 3 times as many as he did 3 years ago. He's managed to accrue 23 outs at 7 2/3 innings. He's got 5 strikeouts to 1 walk. His fastball command has come and gone. The second start, the middle one of those, was, I think, the most questionable in terms of fastball command. He has continued to sit around 95, 96 while throwing really 5, 6 different pitches. He's looked like a major league pitcher, if not exactly realizing all of the ace potential that has come with, the prospect status of someone of his caliber. Matt, I think what we want to buy or sell here is, given what we've seen of Andrew Painter, the looks we've had, the way he is approaching this season, he is still healthy. He is taking them out. He'll make 1 or 2 more appearances, I would think, this spring. Are we buying or selling that what we've seen of Andrew Painter and what we are expecting based on that is going to stick in this rotation for the majority of 2026? I don't think anybody's expecting him to make 30 starts this year in the major leagues. And I think that would be aggressive. They probably have some sort of plan for him in that department. But the majority of the season in the major league rotation.
I'm going to sell only because of the Wheeler situation. And so the more and more I've thought about it, I think Painter is going to get, a bunch of, a couple turns here through to start the season. And if it's just okay, like I feel like they are going to keep Taijuan Walker in the rotation when Zack Wheeler comes back mid to late April and let that play out for a little bit while putting Painter back at AAA.
Oh, okay. Go on.
I think that is now it's going to depend. I mean, if Painter's first 3 or 4 are, well above average, or there's hints and indicators that say, oh, like this guy is more prepared than we thought he would be, even more prepared, then maybe they bump Walker to a long man role. I think by doing it that way, though, by putting Painter in the minors, back in the minors, and keeping Walker in the rotation, it just like buys them more time. Because if there is another injury to anybody in the rotation at that time, then Painter slides right back in. Or if there's ineffectiveness from Walker, they bump Walker to the bullpen and they bring Painter back. All of this is going to depend on, obviously, like what the first few weeks in the rotation look like. Now, you don't want to make it that, you're not trying to ascribe greater significance to Painter's first 4 starts in the majors. But if they do have to make a decision about the rotation, come the 3rd week of April, that will influence their decision. So I like what I've seen. I like that he's throwing more changeups. It's a pitch that he wanted to use more last year, but could not use because he kept developing a blister on the inside of one of his fingers because it was a new pitch for him last year. And it is a good pitch. Like it graded out really well last year, and everyone's like, well, why isn't he using this more? And it's like, well, because he physically couldn't use it as often because it really hurt. And I think it's a really nice addition to his arsenal. I think the concerns about the fastball we've talked about, I think, have been overblown.
Okay.
I think this is a guy who, again, has been building up, and I think his next outing is going to be really interesting. Like, I want to see what it looks like, because now you're getting to the point where, okay, you want to try to mimic or simulate as best as you can. Obviously, it's the Grapefruit League, but you want to try to mimic, one last, real good test here of your stuff or where you're at right now in your, in this final week of exhibition games. So I'm really interested to see the next one. It's funny because his last start, the results were probably the worst, right? He gave up some runs. He got tagged a little bit there in that third inning, but his stuff might've been better than it was in the previous two where he didn't allow any runs. So I think that's, again, like, sort of the fallacy of the Grapefruit League stats. I mean, there's things you're looking for underneath the hood. So I mean, like, I feel like I don't know that he's going to get to 25 starts. Does he? I don't know.
I think just for ideological consistency, I would also sell, because I'm looking at a guy whose ERA is probably starting with a 4 this year, low 4s. And so it wouldn't surprise me, and that's just obviously one blanket stat. I know I have to keep saying this. I think with that in mind, with that being my expectation for the full season, you saying that Painter could be the guy optioned out, when
I've just been playing through these different scenarios in my head.
Interesting,
because
yeah,
they're not going to go to a 6-man in April. There are times where they like going to the 6-man rotation, but it's usually not until like August time. They like to keep those guys on a schedule, like on a regular schedule. And also, like, you want Chris Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo and Zack Wheeler and Aaron Nola. You want them pitching more often. Like, you don't want, you want them pitching every 5th game, like those guys. You don't need an extra buffer in there if you don't have to. Now, will there be times, weeks later in the summer where you want to give everybody maybe a little, a couple extra days here and there? 100%. And they could go to a 6-man then. I don't see it happening in April.
Instagram teen accounts, automatic protections for teens. Instagram teen accounts have built-in content settings, now inspired by 13+ movie ratings, and limits for who can contact teens. Plus, teens under 16 can't change these default safety settings without parental approval, so parents can help teens connect safely. Instagram teen accounts, automatic protections for who can contact teens and the content they can see. Learn more at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Bringing your business dreams to life takes heart and about 1,000 decisions a day. That's why Atlantic Union Bank's knowledgeable bankers are here for you with the right guidance and customized solutions to help you reach your business goals. So whether you're planning your next move, upgrading your space, or scaling to meet demand, we make sure your business is ready for what's ahead because we're big enough to support you, yet small enough to know you. Atlantic Union Bank, any way you bank.
Fiscally responsible, financial genius, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds, because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it. So your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
When you own your own business, work travels with you. So travel with the business card that gives back all you put in and get access to the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know it didn't really happen last year, but the plans for the last couple of years around 6-man and that extra buffer stuff have usually arrived in August, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's good. I like being consistent that way. That feels like the right time to give guys a bit of a breather, among other things.
It's also going to depend on who they sign here at the end of camp, because they are going to sign somebody who gets cut from another camp to a AAA deal.
Okay.
Like, if they're able to add good rotation depth, then maybe they don't feel like they need to that they need to keep Walker stretched out, right? It's like, okay, we can put Walker in the bullpen as a long guy or whatever, because one, we like Painter, and two, we feel a little better about our AAA rotation depth.
Okay. Yeah, I know that's another thing that you've been mentioning with regard to guys who are going to get cut from other camps as spring training comes to a close, that this is something we should be keeping an eye on for depth purposes. That time is coming. The Phillies have a couple of guys of their own who they'll have to make decisions on. It's a typical, opt-out that you see in a lot of these minor league deals for guys who have had major league experience. So that'll probably evolve and take shape over the next few days. And yeah, I'll end by saying I agree with you. I'll sell on the 25 and a half. Just because I do think he'll need a breather at some point. The transition to the major leagues is hard. A lot of guys are proving that. And the gap between those two leagues is, as we've said, about as big as it's ever been. AAA performance is often not representative. Well, frequently, I guess I should say, not representative of what a guy can do in the major leagues. It proves to be a huge challenge. It's a big deal. And while I do believe in Andrew Painter's ability to be a successful major league pitcher, I'm still not expecting it to come immediately.
Yeah, we've measured expectations quite a bit here for him, and maybe we're underselling it.
Maybe. I'd be happy to be underselling it. Honestly, that's the way to go.
Yeah, because while there is some pressure on him, like we've talked about, I think it is an ideal way for him to be breaking into the majors, is because he is the fourth or fifth guy to start, right?
Yeah.
Probably, I guess you could argue the fifth guy, like if he's behind Walker. And you have these other, big money, big game, big stuff pitchers in the rotation.
Yep.
There is not an immense pressure on here. He's not breaking in. It's like, this isn't, yes. Do they need him to be a contributor? Would it make things much easier to project if Painter is, like we've said, a league average major league starter as a rookie? 100%.
Yeah.
Do they need, like, is it a must have to win the division and be successful this season? It's not. That said, like, I think that's a good way for him to be entering these certain, and there will be obviously there's a lot of attention on this guy, and there's going to be some pressure, but I think there's less attention and pressure maybe than there could have been. Does that sound right?
Oh, absolutely. No, this is a way better situation in that department than debuting as a teenager 3 years ago. Way better. Way better. Look, I get that the organization thought, in 2023 that Painter was going to be ready. Like, they wanted him to win that job, and they thought he was on the cusp as a 19-year-old, soon to turn 20. And that would have been amazing. I am still a little bit sad that we missed the opportunity to see a 19-year-old starting pitcher for the Phillies, just because that sort of thing does not happen very often. That's 3 years in the past, and now we have the current situation. And I do see it as a softer landing pad than having to come in, even with the same role 3 years ago. Just as a guy with all those expectations, immediately the rise was so much quicker. There's been so much more time now to decompress. Yes, a lot of it has been spent on injury rehab. A lot of it was spent struggling through a AAA season.
I don't want to make it seem like that. I still think this guy's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know.
Well, that's the whole thing with me, right? Like, I look at this right now, the way I'm feeling about Andrew Painter, based on what I've seen and my gut feeling, having watched a few baseball games and watched a few guys make the jump as rookies into the major leagues, is that it's not immediately going to be a huge success story for him. He's going to have to figure it out. He's going to have to do a lot of adjusting, and it might result in a tougher, league average-ish rookie year, which, again, for the scale and measure relative to what, everybody else could be, a league average 22-year-old starting pitcher rookie, that's really good. And it doesn't discount what he can do and grow into in the future. But if we're just talking about 2026, I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing. And that's okay. He's just got to figure it out. He's got to make the jump. And if that results in an option, even if he's, hovering around like a 4.4 for 5 year, I don't know what the number is going to be. It doesn't matter. If that's what happens, okay, Great. It doesn't mean he's an immediate failure. It doesn't mean he's not going to be good. I think that's the thing we just have to guard against, because we're only talking about this season, his rookie season. I'm going to say that again. And I think he'll be fine in the future. I really do. I haven't seen anything to dim that light. Still think he'll be very good eventually. This year, we'll just have to see. And like you said, I would love to be underselling. I would love to be the low guy here.
Yeah, I almost feel like it would be, like if he would have had like a total knock you down dynamite spring training, I almost feel like the pressure would have been more, right? Because it's like,
Maybe.
oh, like, he had this great spring, and it's like he's the next coming. It doesn't feel like people are feeling that way right now. The people I've talked to from other clubs, both analysts and scouts who look at him, are still real bullish on this guy, like based on what they've seen from him this spring.
Good. Yeah, I think he looks the part of a major league pitcher, which is a great place to start from. And I think we'll just have to all take it from there, him included. All right, lastly, we have one more on the pitching side of things, one more storyline to buy or sell. And it's for a guy who recently kept the United States World Baseball Classic team's hopes alive indirectly by shutting out Mexico through 5 innings. He is Italian starting pitcher Aaron Nola.
I guess, is he going to pitch if the Italians win Monday night? We're taping this Monday morning. Is he pitching Tuesday against the U.S.?
He could, right? The team is going to make that call, right? I would think they'd make him available as a last tune-up start. Yeah, I would think so. He looked great. It wasn't just that he pitched shutout innings. Mexico's good lineup. He looked good. He looked like a guy who is on the other side of a long stretch of workhorsemanship, who had worn the durability tag for so long, rightfully so, of pitching 200 plus innings, 190 plus innings every year, not being able to do that last year because of multiple injuries, and seeing a little bit of arm freshness come back as a result. I don't know if that's reading too much into it, but he's looked like a guy, especially in that last start for Italy, where he was routinely hitting, 93, 94. And as we all know, in the spring, Aaron Nola hitting mid-90s is an unusual sight. This was a guy who was just kind of scraping around 90 last year at this time. He looks like a refreshed pitcher. He looks like a guy who is strong and who is ready to start this year strong. I've been bamboozled by World Baseball Classic performances before.
You have?
Oh, haven't we all? Well, you remember when Trey Turner lit the world on fire in 2023 and then started off slow in his first year with the Phillies. I remember Jimmy Rollins having a great World Baseball Classic and coming out and having just a so-so year. It can happen, of course. It's a small set of games, whatever. I look at Aaron Nola in that appearance in particular, the last one out for Italy, and think, yeah, that's a guy I want in my rotation for sure. Matt, are we buying or selling Aaron Nola as being, if not quite 2018 level, back with a capital B?
I think this is the one where we're going to disagree.
Okay.
I don't know if he's back, because Aaron Nola being back would mean that he is a top of the rotation, ace type pitcher. I don't think he is that.
Okay.
That said, if he returns to form as a solid, dependable, with a little more upside mid-rotation guy, that is enormous for the development of the of the fate of the 2026 Phillies. Because Paul, I want to remind you, okay, let's not lose sight of this. Last year, from Aaron Nola, a guy they were paying $25 million, they got 94 and a third innings of a 6.01 ERA. Okay, even just getting him back to league average and getting 170 innings from him is enormous. Like that, we have a lot of questions about how they're going to atone for not having Ranger Suarez anymore, for having some questions about depth in the rotation, for not really knowing what Andrew Painter or Taijuan Walker are going to give them or going to be. Like, if Aaron Nola can be just a steady league average mid-rotation starter, a guy with an ERA in the mid to low fours, enormous. And I think based on what we've seen in terms of the quality of stuff, the quality of command, the contact that he's allowed, the uptick in velocity, yes, that does matter. I don't see any reason why he can't be a league average major league starter as a floor in 2026. Is that crazy?
So you're saying back with a lowercase b?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I would take that too. I am buying that he is going to. There's no middle case between
Back with like a cursive B, like a
yeah, something like that, right? Something a little fancier, maybe not quite capital B
calligraphy.
Yeah, yeah, he's not going to be 2018 anymore. But I just really like what I saw out of him. It looked like a guy that I just missed so badly last year. You know, I felt the absence of Aaron Nola in the rotation last year. I know the Phillies, they got by without him, right? They won 96 games, sure.
Which is amazing, again, given what they got from him.
Yeah. I cannot say he is back based on just this small number of things that I'm seeing in a spring training. I know that. I think he's semi-fancy letter B back because capital B is 2018. This is a guy who looks like the old Aaron Nola to me, you know, and I think that's going to be really, really important. We've talked a lot about the rotation and its depth or lack thereof, you know, other moves pending, what it's going to look like. I think we're going to get 175 innings out of Aaron Nola this year. And that in and of itself implies, first of all, that he's going to be good enough and healthy enough. But it also means that we're saving ourselves from other innings that could be taken up by this lack of depth. And every start that he makes, every out that he picks up, has a better chance of being a quality out and a part of a quality outing than whoever his replacement would be. That's the whole concept above replacement, especially as it relates to who is currently in this organization. I feel good about it. It is a reason for optimism for me. It is hard for me not to feel good about the state of the rotation. Even just, newly layering on the Wheeler optimism, having Chris Sanchez and now Jesus Luzardo locked up for as long as you have them makes me feel really happy. How can you not love Chris Sanchez being around for what he's around for? And Jesus Luzardo, as I mentioned at the time of the trade, is one of my favorite pitchers, going in the sport. And that has only continued now that he's done what he's done in his first year with the Phillies. I feel really good, and I'm riding a wave of optimism about this. I think we get 170, 175 plus innings out of Aaron Nola. I think that ERA starts with a 3 again.
Wow.
And I think this is a guy who he'll get beat up a little bit in a few starts, I'm sure. Everybody does, yes, but I do think there'll be a little bit of a diminishing stretch. That's okay. I think he's going to stay on the bump. I think he's going to rack up his share of his 6-inning plus starts. And I think he's going to get back to being the guy from like 22 to 24 that this rotation could really use to pick up a bulk of outs and do it in a quality way. Not in a hugely quality way, but a quality way.
I don't want to oversell like the velocity aspect of it, but he topped out at 94.5 in the Mexico start for Italy. And like he didn't have a pitch that started with 94.0 until his 7th start last season. And that was early May. 94.5, he only threw 2 pitches last year in all the innings that he threw, harder than 94.5. And man, I'm not saying he's going to live at that all year, but I think what's clear, Paul, is that he is entering the season with a much, much better base than he did last year. And the idea that he has to build up and be 88, 89, 90 in the first 5 weeks of the season, that doesn't feel like we're at that point right now with Aaron Nola, does it? And certainly in the colder weather, it might be more 91, 92. Fine. It's better than 88. And that does matter. Like Aaron Nola is not a high velocity guy. He is not, but his margin for error last year was just so small when you're throwing 89 to 91.
Yeah.
And sometimes even worse than that, like 88. I mean, it's just it is a different look. It is a different pitcher. And he looks like he's stronger. He looks like he's in better shape. He just looks healthier. He looks healthier.
Yep.
And is he going to get to 200 innings again? I don't know. I don't know if they want him to get to 200 innings. They want it, like,
That's fair.
Because in the past, like he was more about, it's more like how many innings can I pitch? I'm going to train and think and do everything in mind with getting to 205 innings this year. But that sometimes came at the cost of the quality of those innings. And I think quality is mattering a little more than quantity right now for him. And I think that is a sensible decision.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. I really do. Not to be too much of an echo chamber here, but that's why I feel so good about him coming into this year the way I do. And I think largely it sets this little storyline recap we have at a net positive, because even the things we're not selling by much. And this is just a small sample of things, like all of it. I keep saying that. I'm sorry, but it's worth pointing out. But I think on the whole, even though it's been a less eventful spring, that's good. That's a blessing in and of itself. And it has this team, as we sit here on March 16th, set up for good things. They look good. They look like they're getting ready to start a major league season, and that's great.
We didn't talk about how Adolis Garcia has hit every single ball into the ground this spring.
Yeah, well, I don't want to.
We didn't talk about
my knuckles.
I mean,
are
as a
white.
whole, I mean, like, again, like it's been a tough spring to evaluate things. I mean, because they have not had a representative roster for most of the spring. I'm looking at it right now. They just sent out their pitchers for today, and Chuck King is starting for the Phillies today.
Beautiful.
They're trying to get the rotation in line here. We're a week from them breaking camp, but because of the WBC stuff, Sanchez, even though he's not going to pitch again, he was still with the DR.
Yeah.
And now obviously they lost, but Nola is still with Italy, because he could pitch again still one more time. But I mean, like, they're just trying to get everybody back on schedule. They got Walker back, and he pitched Sunday. There's been some things I think this spring where you're like, but again, like, we did this buy sell exercise last year at this time, and we were looking at all the underlying stuff about Max Kepler and saying, wow, like, this guy had off-season surgery to fix a core muscle issue. He is just pummeling every ball this spring, and he's hitting him in the air, and didn't really result in much.
It burned.
Did it?
No, it didn't.
Instagram teen accounts, automatic protections for teens. Instagram teen accounts have built-in content settings, now inspired by 13 plus movie ratings, and limits for who can contact teens. Plus, teens under 16 can't change these default safety settings without parental approval, so parents can help teens connect safely. Instagram teen accounts, automatic protections for who can contact teens and the content they can see. Learn more at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Life's busy. Don't let banking slow you down. Whether you're paying bills, setting savings goals, or just splitting the check, Atlantic Union Bank makes managing your money easier. With helpful people and user-friendly tools, we make sure banking with us fits you. Call, visit us online, or drop into an Atlantic Union Bank branch today. Atlantic Union Bank. Any way you bank.
And that's the grain of salt you take in with all this stuff, and that's fine. I think it doesn't cost anything to feel good about this stuff, and that's just kind of the thing I've been coasting with lately. I'm sure come some point in June, July, or August, there will be a slump where I'm just like, all right, all of this has been invalidated, because that's baseball, baby. And that's just what it puts you through.
Wait, we have an update now. As we're recording live, Aaron Nola is starting tonight.
Oh. Okay. Sure.
Aaron Nola is starting, according to Daniel Alvarez Montes, a terrific Venezuela baseball reporter who's based in Miami. Aaron Nola will start for Team Italy, not Michael Lorenzen.
Another former Phillies great. All right, well, I guess I'm sat for that. I want to see how Nola looks tonight. Yeah, I want to see it because we're gonna see him guaranteed one more WBC.
Well, I think
probably for a short burst, right?
There's a couple. Well, I mean, I think there's a couple things at play. I mean, I think the fact that Chuck King is starting today, like I think Nola was supposed to start for the Phillies today. Like had Italy, I don't think as they were trying to map all this out, I don't think they thought that Italy was going to go this far. And so I think the idea being that, like, as they were trying to work on the schedule, so I'm not saying that Italy made this change to help the Phillies figure out their rotation, but I'm saying that I don't know that the Phillies were standing in the way of this. That we're probably like, yes, please do this.
Yeah.
Just a guess. And that's me just reacting to this right now.
That's good. We love a React podcast. So there we go. There's our hand-picked, hand-curated selection of spring training storylines. We're feeling pretty positive on the whole. Interested to see what you all out there have to say and think about that. If you want to chime in with us and talk ball, watch the World Baseball Classic games, watch these spring training games, and get ready for the season, we'd love to see you over on our Patreon community. That's patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. We have a Discord server that's really bustling with activity these days. We'd love to have you be part of that. Otherwise, yeah, Matt, have a safe trip back down to Florida. Hopefully the weather continues to hold up and treat you well as the team and you get ready for the season. And I guess we'll check back in next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, there's 10 days to the season.
I'm ready.
Does it feel that way? I know you're ready. I think we're all ready, but it's like, it just, I don't know. It doesn't feel that way.
Maybe not, but we'll see how this next week goes. I'll sit for Aaron Nola, and I'll see how the rest of this goes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another episode of Phillies Therapy, part of the Believe Podcast Network. For Matt, I am Paul, and we will talk to you again soon.
The producers of this episode of Phillies Therapy are Brian J., Briana W., CallisonGhost, Christopher S., Daniel Y., Hunter R., Ian, Jack S., Jacob, Jaedon M., Jami P., Jason G., Joe M., John S., Kaitlin M., Kodi L., Lindsay, Lisa L., Michael W.E.I., Michael W.E.R., Robert R., Timothy G., Tom D., Tom H., Vinay V., Zach, and a thanks as well to our anonymous supporters. Again, if you'd like to learn more about how you can support Phillies Therapy, go to patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. We'll catch you next time.
Life's busy. Don't let banking slow you down. Whether you're paying bills, setting savings goals, or just splitting the check, Atlantic Union Bank makes managing your money easier. With helpful people and user-friendly tools, we make sure banking with us fits you. Call, visit us online, or drop into an Atlantic Union Bank branch today. Atlantic Union Bank. Any way you bank.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The lone wolf, who you thought was a good collaborator because you didn't have the right candidate insights. But once you hired them, it was all hoarding info, declining meetings, and howling at the full moon? But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can go deeper than just the resume to find you a perfect fit. By using insights from the LinkedIn network to give you a short list of best fit candidates. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/Pandora.
Few things are as uplifting as the greatest moments in sports. And nothing brings us together quite like Team USA at the Olympic Winter Games. From NBC Universal's iconic storytelling to the innovative technology across Xfinity and Peacock, Comcast brings the Olympic Games home to America, sharing every moment with millions. When Team USA steps onto the world stage, we're not just watching, we're cheering together. This winter, we're all on the same team. Comcast, proud partner of Team USA.
One iced coffee?
99 cents, please.
For real? No way. One iced coffee?
99 cents, please.
For real? No way. What a deal.
Your new morning groove. Iced coffee from McDonald's, any size for just 99 cents till 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Fiscally responsible, financial genius, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds, because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it. So your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.